Yechida. It's called the only mitzvah. The Rebbe calls it the only one. Actually, someone sent me a text. They're making a panel. I want you to come to the panel. It says, "Im yuchel hagil ledaber al echad advarim achi chashuvim she'evi melech hamashiach deresh machsidim." Next, look at what exactly Shul is talking about. What's advarim achi chashuvim? Talking about Mashiach. I didn't know that Mashiach is advarim achi chashuvim. So Mashiach is the only thing. Advarim achi chashuvim. I know this guy is okay. There's only one avodah which is called Mashiach, and that avodah enhances all the prote, like the Rebbe says in Chayesara, all the prote avodas hashlichus. Your own tefillin and your mitzvah tefillin and your own mezuzah and your own mitzvah mezuzah, whatever it is, gets only stronger and greater through being part of mitzvah yechida, the avodah yechida. So what could happen, what we see sometimes happens in the Klugenker, just like the name of every individual sitting around the table over here was given by his parents that had in the Ruach Tana, that has to do with the token of his name. Also, the name that Rabbi Sein the Siena gave the Klugenker is really fits the token of his avodah. As a Klugenker, Kipshute, he's really shrewd. And this Klugenker has many different interesting ways how to make things go wrong. It says, Nayayim Mitaka doesn't talk more than a Chassidish Nefesh Bahamis, but we found out nowadays that Sranam Olechet Nefesh Bahamis, they can even be called a Mashiachist. Be careful. This is a question. Be very careful. Every Mashiachist has a Nefesh Bahamis still. I mean, not everyone, most, but a lot. Or at least I have a Nefesh Bahamis. I can only talk for myself. And he's a Mashiachist also. You have to be very careful. But even getting back to before we get to the Mashiachist. There can be a Maimon de Matzav where the Klugenker could take a mitzvah of the Rebbe, a mitzvah, a fatzah samayanis, and he can blow it up and enhance it and make it sturmdik. So that's what's going on over here. The Klugenker is now doing a fatzah samayanis chutzah. Wow! First of all, that's already a great achievement. If the Alter Rebbe would know that the Klugenker would be helping him in a fatzah samayanis. He'll be dancing non-stop. But as they do see, the Klugenker got hold of a fatzah samayanis, and he's doing big fatzah samayanis. But you have to be very careful and detect: is he coming to enhance the B'sira Segula, or he's coming to cover the B'sira Segula? Actually, you don't have to be so close to catch that clue. You can see it very easy. But the reason why I brought this whole subject up is not Chas v'Shalom to talk negative. It's not talking negative. Is that just in case, if I'm going to promote, before in the earlier parts, I was promoting Torah Mitzvahs. I should make sure that the promotion of Torah Mitzvahs shouldn't come Chas v'Shalom with the cheshbon of Kabolas Hamalchus. I just want to let you know that my promotion of Torah Mitzvahs is Kabolas Hamalchus. That's what I just wanted to Baron. Tol Arichas was the Baron that it's not instead of Chas v'Shalom. Torah Mitzvahs is instead of Kabolas Hamalchus, then that is part of putzing the Kneplich zu fill. The Rebbe is telling us that the building is ready. I just want to give you a mushal. You can use it. I mean, it's my own mushal, so it can be, obviously it's not b'diuk. Just try to make it b'diuk, but it can be very useful to explain when you talk to people. You want to be masbiding in the where we're holding today. You want to be mamshish in the mushal. So mushal amad of a day, man. There's a building. Every person. He's a shliach. He has a friend of shliach, a relative of shliach. Everyone has a shikifah to build. Actually, today in the video, I watched the same video in 770 week to Sicha. So the guy that came to the Rebbe and asked the Rebbe to tell him, I watched the video in 770 today. He tells the Rebbe by the experience from the early times. He tells the Rebbe, like you told me I'm going to be here next year, and I'm here, Baruch Hashem. He says, I'd like to see you more often than once a year. And then he says, please give me a message. Like, to me, it looks like that Gvir that comes to the Baal Shem Tov and says, I came to see you, you know what I mean? Give me a message that I can take. And they never tells him one word. They never says the word for a long time. Like, never doesn't add words. Build. And they, for a nice few seconds, build. I guess it was Nasabini, whatever. And then Never says, not one building. Building! Not a building. Buildings. Then Never says to Begashmius and also Baruchnius. However, so everyone wants to build a building, yeah. So the Rebbe has a big time for buildings. And the Rebbe worked many, many years. The Rebbeim Shekodem Olei with Gebuit opinion of 280 floors. 180 is only 100 times high. It's got to be 100 times 280 floor building. Beautiful. Everything is beautiful. Sometimes construction workers, they leave right before the finish. The finish, the designs, and the a beautiful building. And like we spoke earlier about Chanukah Sabayis, Mirato Chanukah Sabayis. I didn't even think of the connection, but it just came up as Ashgacha Pratis. And also Ashgacha Pratis is learning Hilchos Bias HaMikdash. That's where he wants to come into the building, and there's an issue with permits. Episode mechanic and in the building. Can't go to the building. And then Hamshach Yadua, the Rebbe says 2,000 sekent, it's something that depends on you. You got to get into the building. Then you have some chachamim. They climb into the building, the Vaila, because they gave up on getting into the building, taking a long time. So they climb into the building, they schlepped along buckets of paint, and they're repainting the walls. Painting the walls over again, painting the walls. And the Vaila, I guess you have to go work in the permits. Go to the lawyers, go to make connections in the government, they're painting the walls. And then they decided they're going to add more. Sometimes you add more designs on the ceiling. It comes out clean, and it's we're going to make another lock in the door. Oh, and we're going to build another floor, 281. That's not what the Rebbe is asking for. The Rebbe didn't say as it's felt paint, as it's felt Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs you can always add. I'm dividing the muscle, but that's not what was missing. You have to add the Torah mitzvahs, but not in the building. Add the Torah mitzvahs outside the building in order you should be able to enter into the building. So sometimes the building of the building is the Torah mitzvahs. How did you build this building? In the muscle. And the paint is hidu b'Torah mitzvahs. And all the beautiful things in the chandeliers is hidu b'Torah mitzvahs. But that's not what's missing. What's missing is to be able to enter into the building. I'll give you another marshal. The Rebbe decides, at the time there was only 2,000 Bati Chabad. Today there's already 4,000, whatever. And the Rebbe wants to visit the Gashmi. It's not like Eliyahu Navi. The Rebbe wants to come and visit 10 Bati Chabad. The Gashmi. How do you do such a thing? What are you going to pick on? Okay, so the Rebbe makes a competition. Whoever's going to give the best duchas match of the year is going to come to visit. And the Poel skiers call up 10 Bati Chabad, and they say that the Rebbe picked you 10. The Rebbe's coming to visit the Beis Chabad. Then didn't say a date when he's coming. A while later, and this is the deal. Maskiris the Medea that the Rebbe just left. He's coming to one of the 10 Bati Chabad. He's on his way to the Beis Chabad. He left. He's on his way, right? That's Medea because that's Lashon Hara. The Rebbe said Mashiach is coming and he's on his way. L'chura, how did I deserve? At this point, I don't mind to make myself part of the marshal. At this part, how did I deserve? Why? The Rebbe should come visit. Because of the Paulus Tavis, yeah. So all the good things in all Mitzrayim, in all in Yani Mashiach and Gula and Yani all the Mitzrayim, the way they're connected. Since this is in the Marshal, it's still before the union of Kabolas and Mashiach. Before the so you did tell your mitzvahs. You had a lot of filling and a lot of kashering and a lot of mezuzahs and all that.
So that you
at this point,
that's also who you should be saying for the Rebbe should come to.
Right. I'm saying, but now when the Rebbe was Medea through the mosquitoes, whatever, or directly, even better, actually directly, the Rebbe was Medea directly.
Yeah.
And he's coming, he's on his way. What then does the Shliach L'Kol B'nei Kehilosei L'Kol Shlinosei have to do? So and at this point I want to go out of the mashal. Let's say the Rebbe is coming to Beis Chabad, and the secretary didn't take the driver. I always say, by the way, that Label Gron is going to have a problem with some of his jobs because he gave it up. For many years, he didn't move the chair. He didn't do these things. So he gave it up. But Yudel Krinsky can still get his job back because no one took it over. The driver, he's driving the Rebbe, and he doesn't have an exact address because he knew, it gets at first because it's over there. That area he knows. The pilot comes, and he comes to the neighborhood, and he does have the address, I'm sorry. But he comes to the neighborhood and he says, the Shah still. He says the Shah still. He doesn't see any action. He was convinced, secretary and for the Rebbe also, as it should have been a big parade, but stay in prison dimension with banners or whatever. I mean, instead, he's going to come to the Beis Chabad, and mamish, no one's standing around, and the secretary is going to go and knock on the door, and it's going to take a few minutes to move it to Memphis. We're busy. We're giving shurim on the telephone space. We're calling people. We're doing time. We're busy. We're in the middle of a shir now. What do you mean you're in the middle of a shir now? The Rebbe came to visit the Chabad house. You should be standing on the street, dancing and singing, and doing tefillin on the street, and learning with the Yid of art on the way when the Rebbe still drive on the way on time that's left. It's not about not putting on tefillin or not learning with Zachayid or not doing any other mitzvah, but you have to do it in a whole different oifen. And that's exactly what the Rebbe means, that it's the avodah, it's a new avodah. The Rebbe wasn't talking about Chaysara. When you learn Oibenufik and you're not misbeinen, you can easily make a mistake and think, and you can ask even a question. You might even be able to write in a Hara, which has a Marechis Tipkis. Actually, I was going to blame someone else. I one time got an answer from the Rebbe. It wasn't. I mean, I was the more technical Marechis, but Melech Tzibur was more the. So on one of the Kisviyad that the Rebbe wrote, the Rebbe gave every few weeks. So one of the Kisviyad, maybe this was even the Hemshech, the first one. So I had a whole Hemshech, and the Rebbe wrote something that was very hard to understand. I never dealt with it myself because I didn't have that Havana of how to, the Rebbe's rights. It was like a Mugad Kesicha type of style. So I didn't have that Havana. So I used to use the Chevra, Kana helped me out a lot, and the Feldman. So in Hanachas, they used to help out. And there was something that the Rebbe wrote. He wrote something, I forgot the Indian. And now the Mareches, which is using this Mareches of the Hanachas, they were doing me a favor. So they were trying to figure out what it is, something like that, and they didn't get it. And they went into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe wrote Mareches Meshuna. There was something that was very hard to understand what the Rebbe was complaining about. Whatever. I just reminded myself now Mareches Meshuna. So if a person could, getting back to what we're talking about, a person could write a ha'ara. Here the Rebbe is saying he can write a ha'ara, and if there's a Mareches Meshuna or Mareches Sheita, then they will take in that ha'ara. He can write a ha'ara. The Rebbe is saying over here, the Einz Gezach was Liben. There's a new avodah, Kabolas Mashiach. Guy can ask, Chura von der anderen Sicha haben wir gesehen, schon 20 Jahre zurück, that the Rebbe said, I'm going to bring a Mashiach. That's a good question, huh? But if you're misbeinen, you'll see that what the Rebbe is saying is that now the avodah is Kabolas Hamalchus. Amol, the avodah was to bring about the Maimed of Matzav that we should be able to be Makabel Pnei Mashiach. Bring Mashiach and we'll be able to be Makabel him. Now the Rebbe is saying, no, there's a new avodah that starts in the base or an aleph, whatever, that's kufa, that's called Kabolas Pnei Mashiach. Till you got the Rebbe to agree to come to visit your Chabad house, you have to do a lot of Torah mitzvahs, a lot of minyanim mitzvahim, and give a nice geschmack and duch to the Rebbe, that the Rebbe should agree to come to you. But when you already agreed that he's coming to you, and he was media that he's on his way, now what do you have to do? The Kabel. What means the Kabel? Says the Rebbe. The Rebbe translates. The Rebbe philosophic nicht of the Rebbe philosophic sach, but in certain yonim the Rebbe explains. He says, just in case that what is this all about? It's not about only holding banners. No, it's about all the miftzayim that are chadur b'nekuda zu. And by the way, the Rebbe made sure that before he said the word chadur b'nekuda zu, we should know exactly what the nekuda is. What's the nekuda? Kabolas Pnei Mashiach. That you're makabel Pnei Mashiach. That you know who Pnei Mashiach is. And the Rebbe takes some sefer about the Nura, which I always wanted to check and see, but I didn't do it. Maybe someone could do that service and look up and see how many times Tafshin Yud Aleph, Tafshin Yud Aleph, till Tafshin Yud Aleph, that the Rebbe mentioned the Batanur and the Chassam Sefer. I don't know if the Rebbe ever mentioned, or if he mentioned, maybe Pa'amim Yechidus. But in Tafshin and Aleph, the base, the Rebbe mentions it at least 5 times. And in one of the times that the Rebbe spoke about the Echad Mizera Yehuda and Parshas Vayetze, the Rebbe did not rely, talking about Falosen Zich, Nish Falosen Zich. Here the Rebbe, even though the Rebbe, the Churuk, he can't Falosen, that all Chassidim will hopefully understand that the Echad Mizera Yehuda, Shirayim, Mitzikos, Elias Goyel, is the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and no one would Chas V'Shalom think it's a Baba Rebbe, the Belzer Rebbe, or not. So, no offense, but nevertheless, the Rebbe was Meisiv B'Ksav Yad Kotchei, Amazon Shmachen, King, Grais, Chas V'Shalom, even by Elam Adimian, and the Rebbe writes that who's the Echad Mizera Yehuda, Chak, the Siddur Egel, Chak B'Chadmur. So the Rebbe makes sure, so going back, that's the Sikha V'Yetze, but in Chayesara, the Rebbe mentions it a lot of times, by the way. Unfortunately, sometimes in order to say fortunate stuff, you got to say some unfortunate stuff. So unfortunately, fortunately, you have people that always are publicizing Kisviyad and Kitesichas that bring out the Nakuda that was burning on the Rebbe's lips and heart. The message that's Kufa, all in Yonim that are connected to Mashiach and Gilish Moshe Mashiach. Then the Mefarsim a lot of Kisviyad, which is a Chiddush Mechal after the Dalet, or after the base of the Mefarsim Kisviyad. But that there are others that are also Mefarsim like Ksaviyad, but they only have 1 or 2 Kisviyad to be Mefarsim, unfortunately, because that's the only 2 that fit their agenda. So one of the Kisviyad that the Mefarsim is, it's interesting, you know, when you talk about Ziyufim, forgery, there's different types of forgery. And you're talking about the Klugenker. The Klugenker is so smart that he can forge something without changing a word or a letter, even, or a tag. But there's a way to forge. How do you forge? What's the job of the Klugenker? To play around with the person that's less klug than him. So he plays around with your seichel and he tells you things that you don't know and you don't understand. So what am I talking about? There is a sikha in that sikha of Chayesara where the Rebbe says that the Ein is on too great in zich and be mefarsim about the gula. So there's also a word that was written in mefarsim Zayin Veres Mashiach, which the Rebbe probably did not say, but the minig vayset kufa, which was a lamalusa, that the menichim had a schus. They had that sutrit, as you'd call it. They had that access to be able to say a regular standard person when he had a ha'ara to write or something interesting to write. You know, it was a question of stam ha'ara. He would write it in ha'ara satzmimim or ha'ara sabiurim, whatever kuntus it would be. But the menichim, they had a sutrit to be able to write to the Rebbe their own ha'aras directly. So if the Rebbe said a sikha, and they had a certain ha'ara from a different sikha, ha'ara of this, or had a question, or had stam something geschmack to write to the Rebbe, they would write it to the Rebbe directly. And if the Rebbe liked it or whatever, agreed or whatever, then it would be incorporated in the Sikha, and especially in the Tkufa, purposely. The reason why Kisvei Yad were not published, one of the reasons is because the Nishnegeh was the Rebbe Kishibun and Farochten and whatever. What Nishnegeh is to know that this is the Sikha of the Rebbe. Muga, Sikha of the Rebbe. Okay, now there's a Maila that Mein Genuvim Yim Toku, that's Terech Hadash Meiti Teitze, that you can see and understand the Diyukim, Merdik and Yonim. Ain't kind of because I gotta go soon kaparas. But I'm just saying, Derech Haggav, if Mashiach comes tonight, we supposed to do kaparas tomorrow morning. Let's go. Or not?
You won't have to fast.
Huh?
You won't have to fast this time.
This year.
This year.
Yeah, say it about kaparas or something else. But kaparas is for us not. But what's going to be with all the chickens that they shall bought?
We'll eat them.
I will eat them. Okay.
What's the shit?
Okay, b'chol so. And we're saying about the Horus. No, okay. Remind me another time or later. But we spoke about it several times. People have already heard it from me. But the Meidika heroes that we can take, heroes that we can take from the last Hagar from the Rebbe, which seems to be just a technical tikkun, and it's Meidika heroes that you can take from the Rebbe's Hagars. There's Libi Otzim of Inyanim, but officially the Amalek Tzaitin, officially the Hagars were never given out. But you see nowadays, and you're born with, once upon a time, even when I was in Aris, I was taught, you keep it to yourself, and what you printed the following week was not a copy of the Rebbe's Ksav Yad, you printed the Rebbe's answer, the Rebbe's Hara, the Rebbe's whatever it was. So, that was the Seder, the Menichim, so and that's Kufa B'myuchad. I don't know exactly Teres Menichim, how they worked Sikhs in all the years, but in that year, a lot of some of them unfortunately regret it, or whatever. Not actually, no, they don't regret. But a lot of the things that came that we are dancing around with, and we're living with them, the highest that we have in this kufa Rahman son of Samchena Kimeis and Yisanu, the Samchena that we're having, which is not the real Simcha yet, is the fact that we have this what to live with. We have this highest, these Inyanim of knowledge and base with all the Ha'aras, the Hagars, the Meredik Inyanim. So a lot of these Inyanim were not necessarily said with Dibur. They were presented to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was Makabalit. That's a Meredik Gili. The Rebbe allowed it to be incorporated in his Sikha. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Not a Chayzis. I don't remember B'Shas Ma'aseh. My place wasn't that good. If all the time throughout the Alpha base it says Menachem Shmei, we got Mendel Shmei, and the Gematius and Semsedik, that the Rebbe actually said this with the Farbrengen. These are all.
It says Mendel.
In one Sikha it says Ha'ara, I don't remember which one, Menachem Shmei, V'gam Mendel Shmei. And then it says in the Sikha of Yud Beis Sivan, the Sikha of Yud Beis Sivan, where one line it says about the Frierdiker Rebbe's name, Shabbos Shmoisav, Shurim in Magula, and a line under that it says about the Shemus of the Tzemach Tzedek, Shabbos Shmoisav, and it says the Rebbe's name, the Gematria Tzemach Tzedek, Heim Shmoisav Shalom HaMelech HaMashiach. And also the Sikha of the Tzavim, the Rebbe says it a little less. This is even stronger in Yud Beis Sivan. All these young in Lav Dafka, I'm not sure exactly. You have to look in the Rad.
Davis and Amamish is recorded.
Yeah, that was in the week this year. True. Yeah. But Miyad. Yeah, there's plenty of young that never said B'Dibur. But there's a lot of young that came later. Beis Mashiach, Gematria 770, Yeshua, that they see Yossel Gutti was Megala, that because he was involved in Nakuntas, that actually came Milamayla Lamata. That's what I'm saying. Certain things came as Sarusa del Tata, and certain things came as Sarusa del Eva. So now, when they wrote, the Maniach, I think it was Simon Jacobson, wrote, based on the Avira, based on the close, the excitement that was going on, he took the guts, quote unquote, and he writes to the Rebbe that because the Etzem in that Sikha, the Rebbe kind of does say it, but he didn't say Ba'oisius Elu Mamash. The Rebbe didn't say I was on the first was on Veres Mashiach. The Rebbe never said that. So the Rebbe crossed it out. So now there's a copy to show everyone. Look, the Rebbe crossed out. It was on Veres Mashiach. Why did I bring this in? Because it's so beautiful. The Rebbe crossed out. There is. But what's in the Sikha is doses. That's equivalent. You'll see what I mean. The Rebbe, in that piece that's Muga, the Rebbe says, after the Rebbe kind of erases the board, and he says, "But gendikt tchilas hashlichus, but gendikt emtza hashlichus,
How
but
schön
gendikt
verlangen nach
Huh?
Milias Chos, der Schlich.
what
How schön verlangen nach Milias Chos.
hashlichus and emtza hashlichus and seif hashlichus,
This mother
and this is you're reading the lashon. Say it.
I'll get it in a second.
Okay, so the Rebbe Chal is such a lashon. You have Rashi many times says ach v'rak. The Rebbe's over here. What's this whole union of tchilas hashlichus, emtza hashlichus, and seif hashlichus? The bottom line is the Rebbe's mamish erasing the board, so to say. It's over. And that's like some people, I don't remember who said it, but one of the Mishprim said, that's him. All the shluchim have to come back. Yigmar Shlichus is a sikh of the Rebbe, by the way, somewhere in the Kutei Sichos, that why did the Eibush tell Yaakov in his dream, if the Shlichus is now, go to Haran, that's what the sikh of the focus is to be. Go to Haran. What's Vashi V'sicha? So the Rebbe said, that's a chelik of the Shlichus, to know that when you finish the Shlichus, you come back. Some people, unfortunately, if they're very successful and they have a beautiful, who knows what, a melucha there, they might not even want to come back. They might become like the Mistagdim that have 2 cars in the driveway or 3 and the beautiful house, and who wants Gula? Chas v'shalom, it shouldn't affect also the Rebbe's Chassidim. The Rebbe says, no, it's part of the Shlichus of Yaakov was, Vashi V'sicha L'Adol Hazais. So the Rebbe says, Nigmar Shlichus, we should have packed our bags. But the Rebbe right away didn't leave space. And immediately, what did the Rebbe say? Huh?
Goes over here, no? Too late.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second. So the Rebbe says, okay, the Haggah is over here. He says that from Kuman and Lahavi Achlot is Tevis, the Yed Shliach, that was the Chalein too great, and now lead them to Mekoim. So Makabas I'm Pnei Mashiach Tzikenu. Durch them was is Masbir, Masbir the Inyan from Mashiach, and somewhere over here it said, on various Mashiach. Okay, so they never crossed it out. So now, someone that's a little bit deep, that it said over there that you should go on various Mashiach. So they never crossed it out. But it's not necessarily 99.9999 that they never did not say it. It was just presented by Jacobson, which is very good because they did a lot of these in Yonim. It's very exciting. And most of these in Yonim went in. Take, for example, I'll tell you also, when the Rebbe said Tazriya Mitzayre about the 4 names of Mashiach, he mentioned the Gemara Sanhedrin, the Rebbe said, Vanan Nene Abasrei, Yosef Shmei V'Yitzchak Shmei, and the Rebbe wrote the Psukim, and then that's what the Rebbe said by the Sikha, and then by the Haggah, they wrote also, Vanan Nene Abasrei, Menachem Shmei, and they never crossed it out. Go show everyone that they never crossed it out. That means that, and you're not going to show everyone that 3 weeks later they never let it in. You're going to show everyone that it says somewhere in Kabbalah, also the Galas Torah, Satera. But you're not going to tell them that the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya that they're saying Neila Mutter Mitzvah Galas Chachma. And I actually, by the way, once saw a certain kuntras. It'll be lashon hara if I say the name of the kuntras, but whatever. It's a kuntras that comes out week after week since Gimel Tammuz still today. And this kuntras, and it's not Yechia Melech. And this kuntras, in this kuntras, I one time saw. Obviously, has to have a page of Mashiach over there because otherwise. So what was the page? Once I saw this in Tafshin Meches, I saw a page that said Ein Adav Atali Ela B'Tshuva, and for sure, there's plenty sichos on that subject, and you have sichos and michtovim. Said go on your shelf with Avchuvaton. So I walked over to someone, one of the Greis Chachamim. He didn't have an answer me. He just attacked me on something else. He didn't respond. And I asked him, this is almost like printing in a publication. No one says that you have to erase from the Rambam or from the Gemara, Ein Adav Atali Ela B'Tshuva. But if the Rebbe stands and he says on that Farbrengen, more than once, but one time the Rebbe says it's on video, and you see the Rebbe delete a word. How could you see the Rebbe delete? You can see in writing, you see cross out. How do you see how the Rebbe crosses out a word, the Dibur? The Rebbe says, was Eina Dava Talui B'Tshuva. That's what, look, watch the video. The Rebbe says, Eina Dava Talui B'Tshuva. The Rebbe leaves the word Ela out. The Chazal say, Eina Dava Talui Ela B'Tshuva. Eina Dava Talui B'Tshuva. So now you go ahead and you print in a publication, Eina Dava Talui Ela B'Tshuva. It's like you're going to quote the wherever it says that you can't learn Timis Atayah. That's called the highest level of ziyuf. when you don't change a word.
When's that sikha?
Which sikha?
The one you just said.
Cheshvan, somewhere in Cheshvan base. Berech when the Shabbos Neach, the Rebbe spoke about. Right, it's a video from. I should know my Mekayim a little bit better. It's very Negea. I mean, not if I'm saying a pilpul, it's not Negea. It's another my Mekayim, but it's Negea. I should know.
The Rebbe said in the recording to Marach Aliyah, Kfar Shuva.
Right, the Rebbe said it more than once, but I'm talking about where you can see the Rebbe delete the words. You can see it visually. That's the way I saw it. Look at it. I don't know how we got to this. I mean, yeah, because we're talking about Mashiach. I'm just saying the point that I want to bring out is that the Rebbe says and dos is. So after the Rebbe says it's out geendigt, and Simen the reason why Mr. Shlichus is because Simen is geblieben. What's he geblieben? The Avodah Yechida, the Kabolas Hamalchus Tzekena. And then the Rebbe explained himself what dos is. Instead of the various that the Rebbe crossed out, the Rebbe has the word dosis. I don't know if the Rebbe wrote it or it was written or whatever, but that's what it is. In the Mukad Sikh, you have dosis. What is? As the Rebbe brings the Chasam Sofer in the Batanura, and the Rebbe says, as Yedein Shliach that sometimes Shliach is with day.
Dosis.
See, people take this for granted. This is nature. This is Derech HaTeva. Okay, this is Nisim. This is Nisi Agula. Nifloy Samiidus. That you can in less than 20 seconds. You know, by the way, you can find a sikha faster on the app than going to the bookcase to take out the sefer. I've timed it. It takes around 25 seconds. And then your man. This is my That's what it was created for. And obviously, every phone has to have a filter, so you shouldn't have the nisyanis, and use it only for Mashabara Kadosh Baruch Hu Ba'ilamai. Only the Chveidei. Where is it? Where? And das is Alpia Yedua as Bechol Der Vader Neil Dechad Mizera Yehud the Shuhu Roy Elias Mashiach Yisrael, and the Rebbe always automatically brings along the one some sefer. Echad Haroy Mitzakos Elias Goyel Kshiagi Azman Yigol Elav Hashem Yisbarach Yishalchei. Alpia Das Chak Buchad Mur Nasi Dereno the Einzige Shliach Shebedereno the Einzige Mashiach Shebedereno. Kilo the Rebbe needs Simon Jacobson to write the words. The Rebbe says it himself. As much an altwendigt ist verstandig, als es hebt sich an bekuyen werden, die Schlach nabi Tischlach, die Schliches von Chakbuch hat Mor, und der Fund ist Mor, und die einzige Sache, was ist geblieben in der Avodah Schliches, ist underlined zum Kabolas sein Pneumisch jetzt kennen befehl Mamet. Der soll kennen bekeim sein Schlichus befehl, und reis nehmen alle Jeden von Gottes. And then the Rebbe goes on, how does this reflect the Meister Befehl? In other words, it's first of all very clear from this Sikha and from a few other ones, what Sai say moving up Seichel, that Kabolas Hamalchus means you focus on the individual. In any case, the time is going to come. Even for a Fremdach Yid, if you want to explain a Yid, it's not. What do you want? You want to say 20 years, Chas v'Shalom? 30 sounds better. 50 sounds even better. Okay, so what's going to happen in 50 years? In 50 years, there's going to be one person. Not every group is going to have their own Mashiach. There's going to be one person that he's going to be in the Mashiach. So just like I'm saying it to Zich within us, the same issue happens also in the world. Mashiach, 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 Mashiach. At least they say it. Every from you says it. And then when the Eibishter sends you a friend to call you, and then he sends you a car to pick you up, and then he sends you a helicopter to pick you up, and you say, no, Mashiach is going to come. Mashiach is going to come. What? Mashiach himself is to grab you and take you out? Mashiach is here. Be Kabolas Hamalchus. The Rebbe says, focus. You have to know that there's echo. Why didn't the Rebbe mention this Chasam Sofer before? Because then it wasn't Negeya to know yet. It was Negeya to know because it gradually came. The Rebbe was the one that introduced this whole concept of identifying Mashiach with the Rampariz. But it wasn't yet the Zman. And that's why when it wasn't the Zman, it had certain Hagbolas and certain Tnoim. But when the Zman came, Egiya Zman Gulasem, the Rebbe promoted and wanted this issue, even though we're supposed to understand it ourselves. But that's Agaret. The crowd sitting around the table that came to Farbrengen with R Zalman Liberow, I'm sure you guys know that already. I don't have to tell you that. I'm not, what I'm going to tell you. In Hebrew, they call it the Shachneat HaMeshuchnaim. I'm going to convince those that are convinced already. But what we don't know enough yet, including myself, obviously, is that the Hemshech Hanyan, that when you're Makabel Pnei Mashiach Tzekenu, it makes you take all the Inyanim of the Motzei and Torah Mitzvahs Bichlal and Lachter, the Nekuda Zu. The Rebbe says the Nekuda. That's the Nekuda. The Nekuda is to know who Mashiach is. The Batanura, that's the Nekuda. And it's Chakbuchad more. Then you have to take that Nekuda and Lachder, Rekola and Yonim. Every mitzvah and every mitzvah that a person does has to be Chodor, Uvgelept, Uvgeflamt with that Nekuda. So maybe you do it in a completely different way. And we cannot be, listen, that alone that we're still the same for so many years, that alone is a big thing. Klapi Shmaya, the Eibishter shouldn't ask for more. That's already a big thing. But Beinenu, it's not about enough or not. It's not about enough or not enough. It's about medaf uftan dominion. And Kol Zman, we didn't, like you say, the famous word that when the person is drank mashka and he's not shikar, that's a simon that he didn't drink enough mashka. And when a person is meshuga,
not yet,
but
meshuga.
But he's not meshuga enough. No, I'm sorry.
Doesn't have enough geld machna meshuga.
Yeah, that means he doesn't have enough money. And when the person didn't become a mensch yet, then he didn't have enough chassidus. And if the Gula Mitzvah Shlema has not come, the Ein Koil, as all and maskim Gula Mitzvah Shlema, it means that the Mishichistan have not done the job yet. Then I can talk about like Gvir, just a Maisa connection to Yom Kippur. So it was the Maisa, but just in case you guys don't know, it's amazing. I'm sharing it with someone today. You look back, you don't usually see such stories, such heavenly stories. The Maisa with Shmerel Gurari's yard is tomorrow night. You guys know the story? Well, there's some people that don't know the story. It's schrecklich because it has to do with someone dying, but it's fascinating the way this guy Shmerel Gurai, which is a Gvir, and it's not, you understand why I mentioned it, Meshuga. Kitza, he's a Gvir, he's Zalman Gurai's brother. Zalman Gurai, everyone knew he was Meshuga. The Malyusa. At least Mishalim Achrenis was very Malyusa. He was fighting. So, Yoni Mashiach. So, we used to, so Shmerel Gurai lived in Tel Aviv, and he used to come every year to the Rebbe Tishrei. And when he used to sell the Aliyahs, Shabbos Bereshis, Amol used to say about the Farbrengen. The Rebbe used to sit back, by the way, middle of the Farbrengen, before the Rashis usually, and the Rebbe would take his chumash, whatever, and he would sit back on the chair. Usually by the Farbrengen, there was like this. They would sit back on the chair and learn, whatever. And the Gabbai would sell them. In my years that I remember, most of the work was done before, so it shouldn't take so much time, but it also took around 10 minutes. I don't know how it was in the early years. It may have taken longer. I'm not sure. But they used to do the sales, chiras and mitzvahs, and Shmerel Gurari had this minhag that he asked, the breitkeit. The Gabbai used to ask the Rebbe for a bracha. He used to buy psicha l'kol nidre, a bracha that he should be able to come and do what he bought. He bought it. He wants to be able to come. And I would say, Amen. And for him, that was his life insurance policy. I hope he didn't have any other one, a different policy. Some people like that policy. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard that after Yom Kippur, till Shabbos Bereshis, he would walk with extra care, like he was his nainical, someone would hold him to make extra sure, because he didn't have a policy for 3 weeks. His policy expired. It was like Libud Rambam, less than a year. So he. Why didn't you ask a bracha that he should be able to just buy next year? I don't know. I remember this with my own eyes. Tavshim Mem Daled, Shabbos Bereshis. The Gabbai walked over to the Rebbe right after the end of the Chiras, the Shir Pinson, and he said, he asked the Rebbe, bracha, Shmerel Gurai, you didn't hear, but you can see him. Everyone knows. And the Rebbe didn't answer. So he asked the Rebbe again, I don't know. The Rebbe didn't answer. He asked the third time. So I'm trying to remember myself. It was that I saw, but no one. I don't think anyone thought with anything. But it was like it was a little strange. Whatever. I guess he really probably thought about it. That's for sure. And I don't know people that know him what he was saying throughout the year. But the shocking Matthias is like so heavenly. The guy's not sick. Officially, he came. The guy came to the Rebbe, and he's walking in 770 on Erev Yom Kippur, and he's walking to the bima. So how sick can he be? And he's walking to the bima, and he comes to the Aron Kodesh right before Kol Nidrei, and he collapses.
And the year before, did the Rebbe say Amen? Like,
The Rebbe didn't answer.
Didn't
Amen to
answer.
the bracha.
no, but the year before the Rebbe.
Always, the Rebbe. I don't remember. I'm telling you, no. Every year the Gabi would ask, and usually every year when you ask him for bracha, he say Amen. I'm sure the Rebbe answered Amen every year, whatever. But Mem Dalet, he asked the Rebbe 3 times.
I heard it took a few seconds. I heard Raphael said.
Yeah.
It took a few seconds, and then the Rebbe said Amen.
Mem Gimel.
And then
No,
after,
Gimel.
No.
Mem
to
Dalet.
to the minute, like the exactly a year, Lebanon Ibar Yor, then right before he came to get the potato was when Shabbos.
So 1 second, I don't know what you're talking about. I have to ask Maltiel. But I don't know. Mem Dalet, the Gabi asked the Rebbe 3 times. Could I 100% say the Rebbe didn't say Amen? It looked like it. The Gabi asked 3 times. Maltiel says the Rebbe said Amen.
And then he lived to the Ibar Yor, exactly to the minute. To the year,
Yeah, but the whole part is that he asked for a bracha to be able to take the Sefer Torah out. That was his bracha.
I think
You
it
got
was
mixed up.
Ibar Yor.
I'm telling you what I remember. When?
You're saying that on Yom Kippur, when the Tzricha, he asked not for bracha, never did hold Amen.
I,
Mem Dalet. And Mem Dalet, you got bracha from that, said Amen, and then May, he passed away a year later.
basically, I'm talking about Shabbos Bereshis Mem Dalet. Shabbos Bereshis Mem Dalet, he would always, every Shabbos Bereshis, he would ask for a bracha to be able to perform this thing that he bought. And Shabbos Bereshis Mem Dalet, he asked for a bracha through the Gabai, and they never didn't answer 3 times. Again, I wasn't standing nearby to see it. That's what was everyone saw. I don't know. I'll double check with Matil if he has a different version. That's why I saw. And the Matthias says he did not manage to do the thing, and whatever. Then you had to. So why did I remind myself of the story? Because Zusha Vilimovsky, which is another heavenly story, Zusha Vilimovsky said an expression. He said, Agarari, Gvir, and I've started in 770 in front of them. But me is genug the chotze. That's what he said. But me is genug the chotze. Wait, what happened with Zusha Vilimovsky? 2 years later, Zusha was under 60. Very accomplished person, but he was under 60. 2 years later, he's also gesund stark. I mean, again, gesund stark. He was by Simchas Beis Sheva, making with his hand. So it must have been some level of gesund stark. And suddenly he tells a bacha that he doesn't feel good, which was taka unclassic for Zusha Vilimovsky. And he says, "Help me! I want to help me go lay down. Where do you want to go? He wants to go 770." So he walks in. They go Hatzalah. I don't know what level he told him. I guess he didn't feel that bad. The Matthias is that he walked him to 770, and he lays down on the Tashlich bench in the Chutz of 770. How long it took, I don't know exactly, but it was Yotze Nishmasei. Hatzalah, I guess, didn't come in time.
The Bacher saw it.
What happened?
I don't even know who the Bacher is, but this is the Meiser. I didn't see any of this. This is the Meiser. Find out who the Bacher is. I don't know. Interesting. So and forget. And 1 second, there was Zusha. That's one part of it. The other part is that this is crazy. He was from the 15, 20 people. I don't know exactly how many people used to get dollar minimum from the Rebbe. So Zusha was one of them. And the Seder was, now you see all the videos, that after the Rebbe picks the minimum, then sometime later they come in and each one takes the minimum, and they go around the table. This you can see in the video. They go around the table and they pass by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says usually to each person, that the Hamshachas of the Lulav should go on the whole year. You see very clear, again, this was detected coming later, obviously. You see how the Rebbe tells the guy before him, the Rebbe tells the guy after him, Zusha walks by, and the Rebbe does not say to him, I mean, Shas Maisa, you're walking by, but you see the Rebbe does not say to him, he had his little essay for the first day of Sukkot, that was it. There was no Hamshach. That's a shocking Matthias. That's a Matthias. In other words, how he died, I don't know. But the Matthias is that he died in 770, and then he died the first day of Sukkot, the Leil Beis Sukkot, and that they never didn't say. And since I already mentioned that story, also I said it because the break get from like sugar. That's why I got. But what we're saying already, this story, you want to hear something very funny also, and you learn from it also. But the Rebbe can't be just funny. It's funny, but it has to be ironic because the Rebbe that I don't know if it was the same year or some other year. Chodakov used to get dollar million. The other mosquitoes didn't get dollar million. They used to get Hadassah maybe, but Chodakov got dollar million. And Chodakov was walking by the Rebbe, and you see in the video that the Rebbe gives like a look, like down the aisle, like just the next guy. The Rebbe gives. You see how the Rebbe sees Chodakov, and the Rebbe quickly puts his finger into the room. The Rebbe standing by the open door, and the Rebbe switches the light off. The guy's not even laughing because he don't even know. Chodakov was a very, very stingy bookkeeper. Every penny, he's a Malika Titan. Nowadays, a Malika Titan, the light, it's a waste of money. You see him, see us, and the Rebbe looks at Chodakov and switches the light off because kind of scared of Chodakov.
Don't have to for that.
So, but the Rebbe once said by Farbrengen, Chaf Av Tafshin, Chaf Aleph Av Tafshin Dalet. But the Rebbe wanted to make a hanacha. Usually the hanacha would be 20%. The Rebbe wanted to make a hanacha 40% to cover the 40th yard side of his father. So the Rebbe said, but the Echtzachas, he says, the Rebbe like laughed. He says, "Ich will nicht reingehen mit der Milchama mit Kahas." Who was the Milchama with? He used to say to Chodakov, 40%, 50%. The Chodakov used to go crazy. The Rebbe didn't have no cheshbonis. I mean, sure the Rebbe had cheshbonis, but the Rebbe's cheshbonis of the Mailam didn't have Hagwala. And Chodakov has to run the books. It means he's selling for 50% off, 40% off, whatever. So the Rebbe said, Mamela Kahas will give. The Rebbe is announcing. The Rebbe takes the liberty to announce 20% off, and the other 20 is coming on another again. Someone will sponsor the other 20% off. Okay, whatever. Huh? Yeah. So Mamela, if we didn't bring and God, who was the crazy grid that gave the 20%? Lamagai, as usual. So if we haven't yet brought the Geula Mitzvah Shlema, we have to be determined to maybe stand up Mishrayan at Motzei, and but it doesn't work like that, because no, the Rebbe says you have to, and the Rebbe listens, but it has to come along with the fact that we understand that Bono Hatovatali, at least it's a sveik. Someone will find me a sikha where the Rebbe says emes, but we're talking about Yom Kippur, Yadua, that Sofek Bikuach Nefesh, erev sveikas. And it's Yom Kippur, Shechol Shabbos, B'Machal. So Amela,
Rebbe says then that was Leach. By the reporting with the Rebbe said the next by the Yechidus with the Rebbe said into the Tala Ba'avos Mashiach Hatzmei.
Tali Ba'avos.
Yeah, but BS Mashiach the Lashon.
Yeah, it's Tali and Mashiach coming.
The Lashon in Leach was until Dali B'Mashiach. And 2 days later, the Rebbe says in the coming of Mashiach, it's Tali and.
Okay, but in most places it's mashma that it's Tali and us.
Even then, it's mashma it's Tali and us.
Right.
That's what has to happen now. Okay. It's only left.
Okay. So and if one of the Rebbe's very very margul b'kume, I just want to say this idea because I had it a long time ago, and maybe someone else will pick up on it. But I once had this dream of giving out a booklet called Margul b'kume to the Rebbe, that different pisgomim, there's a lot of them. But different pisgomim, different levels of quantity, the Rebbe mentions certain pisgomim, interesting thing. But more than just pisgomim, but the Rebbe, these inyanim are very increased in the Rebbe's avodah of Eina Kadosh Baruch Hu Mavakish Lefi Koichei Elo Lefi Koichon, because that's where the Rebbe, that's how the Rebbe begins the Nesias, and that's how the Rebbe says in the last sichas that we heard the same nekuda. As much as the Rebbe will geben, biful can, the Rebbe says with geben, but that's the avodah. The avodah b'chlal of Yidden and b'frat in Chassidic Chabad is not aleinton. And that's what the Rebbe said to Dalto Siket. So as much as the Rebbe is tachlis hateva chesed and wants to give, the bottom line is that's faked. That you can imagine how much yisurim the Rebbe has. The Rebbe is going through such a terrible, deep conflict of tachlui agolos, where he's forced kaviyachol to keep up with the Eibish's plan of 2000 seconds. The Rebbe said this in the Sikha of Bahab, I think it was. Bahab Tofshin and Aleph. The Rebbe said that Tzadik Geiser, which is similar to what this Gansvik said by Shabbos Shmini, the first Shabbos right after Chav Ches Nisan, he got up and Gansvik, if you know Yitzchak Gansvik, those you guys know him, Zalman Liberow, but he was a Yid. There wasn't a waste of time guy that only knew how to announce announcements. He was a Yid that until his Neshima Achrona, at from his youth, at Koch, the Ton the Rebbe's in Yanim. So you understand where it's coming from. It wasn't coming from a Sahaka Cup guy. And he gets up by the Farbrengen, from the depth of his heart, by the middle of this, between the cities, obviously. And he says, Tzadik Geizer, because Baruch Hu Mekayim, the Rebbe will Geizer sein, Mashiach will come, or something along those lines. And nevertheless, even though it came from the person who was a Gitanzang Gantz 11, the Rebbe got very serious, and the Rebbe told him, part of it's in the Mugad Kesicha, but the Rebbe says, like, again, I'm not a dyke in Lashon, but I know what I have to do, give me this Kenaya Arbet, and the Rebbe basically rolled it back to the point, and he started a Sikha where it's all about Nafaleinton. It took time. People didn't understand what the Rebbe meant. That's why you see that this lady that comes by the Rebbe, but she was not seemed to be a Lubavitcher, but she came along to the Rebbe, and she tells the Rebbe, same idea. She says, the Rebbe, we're lying
Want
at
to see
you.
your son or something?
Yeah, she wants to see her son. No, she wants to see her son.
Yeah.
Okay, but for her it's okay. But all of us, this is what my Shver always likes to say. Everyone wants Mashiach for their own personal reasons. Devil does, devil Jens, devil Gel, devil Tchis Amesim. Everyone has a different agenda. By the way, I saw someone in the Sikh of the Rebbe that was learning last week that the Rebbe brings from the Zayar that those people that daven on Yom Kippur, and Zebeten, Boneh, Zayneh, and even Chaya, even things that are more edel, says the Zayar, Hane Kalbe, does a hint. Shetzayikim have. That's what the Lashon Tanya comes from. Have. Hint. What are you asking for? The Zayar is teaching us. That's it. The bond of Ishte, the bond of Kaidmin al Piatera. That's because it's al Piatera. Das ist darf essen, and every day in Koshkin Yom Kippur. This is will essen. It's weil the Eibishter hates. I don't always eat only when the Eibishter hates. I eat also something that I want. But I'm just saying that that's the way it's supposed to be. So she wants to see a child. Okay, but for her it's okay. So the Rebbe kind of, we learned in Pashas Kisave that we are able to hashkifa is a lotion of klala and Peronius, and we change it. We are able to change it, and sometimes it says punkt verkehrt. So over there, unfortunately, because the lack of the oilam, it wasn't only her; it was all the people. When the Rebbe pointed around, I think the Rebbe stump pointed because the Rebbe was, the Rebbe pointed because all the people around in their mind were supporting what she was saying, and they didn't get the point. The point was not that the Rebbe should be geyser that the Gula should come. The point was a mizon ton bringing the Gula. And Ad Kedei Kach, it was so crucial that the Rebbe had to kind of become serious and a kind of angry. The Rebbe kind of told her twice over, if ich bin der Rebbe, dein Rebbe, then darfst du folgen, was ich heißt dir. How did you manage to turn the Rebbe into a person that's saying something so betaken to a Nebuch free? If not for that, it was negaya for everyone to know and understand, as his Tully and dear, and the Rebbe's finger is still going around and telling us, and you Tiskislim, the Rebbe is pointing to us. No, the Rebbe's. It's a very important nakuda that we still didn't get yet, Vice. I'm giving the Amish so much support now. It's not good. Do this. But it's Negela Maisa. We have to do this. We have to bring the Gula. If we didn't bring it, it means that we didn't do it. That we didn't do enough. And the Rebbe is dying to bring the Gula. Oh, what I want to say. In Bahab, the Rebbe says that Be'etzem, das was Yidden, Amich Kul Tzadikim. The Rebbe didn't want to kind of blame himself. The Rebbe answered, Kiviyachol V'Gamtuk said in Shmini. The Rebbe says, das was Yidden, Amich Kul Tzadikim, and Nish Geizer. That the Eibusha should bring the Gula. You know the Sikha? It's Mesiras Nefesh on our part. It reads the Rebbe. The Rebbe is like saying, kind of, it's Mesiras Nefesh. The Rebbe's Meiser Nefesh, not to use his power of Tzadik Geizer. Why is he Meiser Nefesh? Because the Rebbe explains over there. Because the Tachlis is all in time. And that's why it's a Mesiras Nefesh not to use that power to make it happen. And that's why when people like Geshem and Garelik, a few others that came up with different ideas after Chavches Nissen, the Rebbe dismissed them. There was someone that came up with an idea of doing something like, type of hashbos, fasting and things like that. That didn't come from Garelik, it came from someone else. And the Rebbe completely dismissed it. He says, you're missing the whole point. You're not getting it. It's not about forcing and turning the Eibusha's hand. That also, to a certain degree, the Rebbe wants, but the Rebbe did that already. In the Mems, the Rebbe twisted the Eibusha's hand, Kaviyachol, and the Rebbe brought about. It didn't come suddenly to Tafshinun. Higisman Galaskim came after 10 years of the Mems, and all the years before, the Avodah, and then the Rebbe screaming at Basa and everything, and we accomplished it. And now the Rebbe says, that's done. Now it needs the Tutalto Sekent, which is very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. Tutalto Sekent to bring that Geula. You have to understand that the Geula is created, like it says in Perek Lamed Zayin and Tanya, is created by our Inyanim. We're making Geula. When a person starts living a lifestyle of Geula, then his Geula, his surroundings Geula, it influences others, and then that is Geula. And then that is the permit to be able to go in. Then the Rebbe can come in this Gala and come. I'm not making any conditions. Hayoim without B'Koil Tishmo, because we already have B'Koil Tishmo. But it's just for the sake of the Sveikit to be Nefesh that we have to drill and drill and drill into our minds that's totally in me. And everyone should say it to himself and understand that that's mamash what it's waiting for. It's like talking that so many years are going by and we still didn't get that point. And how do I know that we can get the point? Because we're still where we are. We're all talking Chassidishing Bachrim, Chassidishing alike, because Baruch Hashem, we were born like that, and we like it, and it's our fun. But that's not it. It's not enough. There has to be a Shinoi Mahusi. There has to be a whole different. I want to suggest to the Meister of Appeal that maybe there should be some type of call. I don't know exactly. So Shabbat has to be written in a very special way to be able to somehow turn 770, B'meshech the Yom Kippur, manage whatever, Sukkot and Sukkot into a place, a Mokem HaMikdash. I mean, you know what I mean? It's out good and fine. Everything is good. They say that even talking in Shul is great because then you can help each other. You know the famous story of the guy, the Rav that came to town and he made such a zera that everyone got petrified and no one was talking in Shul. And then with Tamol, the Rav got busy with the Gemachim and everyone had all different problems. And took him time to find out that once upon a time all the problems are solved in the middle of davening. And now no one talks in the middle of davening, so all the problems come to the Rav. So he made a patch and keep talking. But it's good. It's obviously straw. It's geschmack. I don't know how to do both. I don't know exactly, but I mean, I'm not looking so much. I don't care honestly between you. It's not what I care so much about the talking middle down. I just want the place to look like the Rebbe's Shul. I want to look the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. It's like it's I don't know the Yirav and Hamikdash. The Mishat Tzivah the Yirav and Hamikdash. And that's already Ma'asim Poel because it's already Halachas Shulchan Aruch and I'm not. In other words, the identifying and noch besser. The Rebbe goes in two stages. First, the Rebbe says in Dossi. First, the Rebbe says in Dossi is what is Kabolas Hamalchus Tzikenu. He gives you the Nakuda, which is Pasha to know who Mashiach is. Even though the Rebbe didn't want it to say B'zeh Haloshen that you should tell everyone who Mashiach is, but the Rebbe himself tells everyone. People say, "What's your name, by the way?" Simcha. Oh, I met you on the King's Avenue this week. Oh, yeah. So let's say if I said your name is Sin Chirik Sin, and Shvam Mem, and Kometz Ches, you write Simcha with a Chof or with a Ches? The Ches. And a Hey, did I say your name is Simcha?
Yeah.
No, I didn't say Simcha. I spelled it out, but I didn't say Simcha. People ask, did the Rebbe say he's Mashiach? The Rebbe didn't say Ani Hu Ha Mashiach, or which language. Everyone has a different way he likes the Rebbe to say it. The Rebbe didn't say it in the way we like the Rebbe to say it. I remember years ago, I remember sitting in Farbrengen. I was a kid then, and I was ringing in Torah Semis. I learned in Luz, but I came to visit my brother in Torah Semis. And I remember we were trying to analyze what's going to be the Dibur HaMaskal of the Maimon when Mashiach comes. Anochi Melech HaMashiach. That's my wish. I like that. But the Rebbe had a different way of saying that he's Anochi Melech HaMashiach. He said it in a different way. He said it through Miyad. He said it through this, through that. Whatever. But klar, the Rebbe stellt weg und soll wissen sein, anyone that doesn't see that in the Sichas Nal's basis, I can't say a shoyt that Pashat amazing. It's ridiculous not to see that the Rebbe wants the world to know that he's Mashiach. It's outrageous not to see it. Then the Rebbe says, but you can't stop there. That is all in order that you should be able to be Mekabelas Panav. The Rebbe didn't want to come visit this Chabad house, to come to me, that everyone could stand outside and hulin and throw out the Yamatus Chas Shalom and Mekabel Pnei. No, the Rebbe wants to see Shtein Chassidim, and they're busy with Aseres and Miftaim, and they're busy with Torah Mitzvahs and the Mekabel Panim. They're focusing. They're telling you didn't put on film because the Rebbe's coming and the Sheikh's coming. In other words, don't chas v'shalom be mistaken that it remains just by the Yechi Yarmulke. It's got to be that the person that's wearing the Yechi Yarmulke, he's identifying something. He's identifying the Rebbe. You know, there's a sikh of Tetzaveh. This I happen to remember the Maramok because I remember hanging it up in the mitzvah tanks. Tavshim Mem Zayin. Tetzaveh, Tavshim Mem Zayin. Zoch, Pasha Zocher. The Rebbe then, I don't know exactly what the Inyan the Rebbe was talking about. But it's not Negeh. The Inyan Prati, what's Negeh is what the Rebbe is telling us about the Farbrengen. So the Rebbe was saying about Eifel Shlila. The Rebbe was saying that when I chassid two tepes, this is the lashon of the Rebbe. Mention was Zende. You can look it up. Zogen as das tut the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That was lashon of the Rebbe. So me'ashlila, the Rebbe was quite ma'irich in this nekuda. Me'ashlila, you can learn the chiyuv. That if you want people look at you and they say whether you like it or not. People say this is. Let's just say when the person looks at you, he says, "This is the Lubavitcher. This is where I want to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe." And your coach came when you have a beard, and when you have a Yechi Yarmulke, it's even more. Okay, I'm not getting into the whole discussion. Is it chiyuv? Everything has milos and concerns, whatever. But it's definitely a big concern. I wouldn't tell the guy not to wear it, but like you just wouldn't tell a guy that does a Veda to take off a yarmulke. But I'm just saying that when the person wears a yarmulke, he does have a hagbala, and that's not the reason why a Yiddish levush and a Chassidish levush. I once heard a Maisa from Shimon Goldman. Shimon Goldman was an important piece to know in 770, in the history of 770. He was an Adam by Yochanan Gordon, and he was there was a Malava Malka. They have a very old gemach that started in Crown Heights before the Frierdiker Rebbe even came here. It was an old gemach. I don't. Maybe it didn't even start in Crown Heights. Maybe it started somewhere else. And the community. It's basically at this point it's already 120-year-old gemach. And then obviously Lubavitch took it over. Whoever had it before. Yochanan Gordon was and he used to make a Malava Malka. Motzei Shabbos, a small Malava Malka in the Shtibel in Crown Heights. Motzei Shabbos, Parshas Mishpatim, in Kesef Talvas Ami. And what was unique about that Malava Malka and that gemach? That gemach, when he used to come to get mashke from the Rebbe, like every other pula, that he had, that was the other year, twice a year, that someone would speak by the Rebbe's Farbrengen and with a shtreimel. So once was by the B'chiras HaMitzvahs. The Gabba used to get somehow a shtreimel, who always wanted shtreimel in the at least. And Motzei Shabbos Mishpatim, the Rebbe asked Yochanan Gordon to wear shtreimel and to say a Maisa. And he used to say a Maisa, story, whatever, by the Farbrengen. 2 minutes, whatever, 3 minutes. And
About Shantae or
Lav Dafka. I don't know, Lav Dafka. Now the Gemach, when Shimon, so then Shimon Goldman, his son-in-law, took over, and my early years of Kabolas was very useful for me, at Gemach, and then it stopped for a while after he passed away. But I think now his name Moshe Klein started over again. It's a very ancient Gemach. It's very miyuchad because I had that Yisachsus in the Rebbe. So Shimon Goldman, Shimon Goldman, his business, his parnasa was a butcher. You remember him on Coney Island Avenue?
Coney Island butcher.
Yeah. So I used to buy my Lubavitch. Right.
Looked like it was built in 19.
Yeah. So I used to buy my Lubavitch Shchita from him. So he once told me a Maisela. He was telling me that once there was a chusid of some Rebbe. He didn't say which Rebbe it was, but it was not Lubavitch. And this guy was indict. And in every movement you have chassidim that are not chassidim b'levush. Even in Lubavitch you have that. You have people that are Lubavitch chassidim. Some people are even ganz starke chavra, but they don't have the levush. Talk, beer, whatever maybe. So this chassid comes to his Rebbe to ask for a tikkun. That was indict, whatever it was. And his Rebbe told him to wear the levush. So be'etzem, it seems to be something really not so important, especially in Lubavitch. Lubavitch levush is not considered to be levush, meaning to say what type of chassidish levush. Don't get me a mistake. It's very important to go with a chassidish levush. But if you wear shtreimel or something else, but by other chassidim, the levush is a very important thing, more even, and there's an importance to it. So the Rebbe his Rebbe wanted the levush. So he tells his Rebbe, "Hey, Rebbe, it was a gvir. He gave him $10,000 for the tzedakah." He went up, 20, 30, 40, 50. Wow. Okay. The Rebbe didn't leave go, so he had to have his levush. So later he asked his Rebbe, what's happened since they started Levush? So then he told him, whether it was the Rebbe's word or Golden's word, that it says V'ishma Knani Melech Harod, that there was Amaleki. So what was the interesting? What was the trick? What was the Levush and what was the Lashon? The Lashon was Lashon Knani, but the Levush is Levush Amaleki. Chura would be the other way around in a way, seemingly. Because the Nakuda is that Levush is something that's the person connects very strong to his Levush. That was the Nakuda he brought from the Pasuk. But this Rebbe tells his Chassid, he says, listen, he gives him a description. Maybe it was a piece of Ruach HaKodesh that happened to him, or maybe Stamaz, I'm not sure. But he tells him two interesting details. This is the way he told me the story. He says, at the Geist Arayin in a restaurant, a Yiddish restaurant, and you don't have your Levush, you're dressed like a businessman. And the balabusta of the restaurant and her tochter are standing by the entrance and they're chatting. And you can't go through, you have to go through them. So it seems like it was a type of a Ruach HaKodesh that he told him. He says to him, you don't have the Levush, so yeah, it's not comfortable to say, excuse me, go to the side, you have to be as a... So, Stadurken, Vesta haben the Levush, so then it's passing. You're not going to be able to walk through two ladies. You're going to have to say, excuse me, go to the side, I'll be able to walk through. As to come and wash in the hand, and there'll be a cup over there. It won't be a quart. It won't be a chatzi kosher b'diavad, whatever, I don't know. So you agree, with a geshor on the board, and thus, you're going to start looking for a quart. Come on. But of a stein chosid with the levush, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You can't do this. People may be watching, So he says, you see how the levush influences? That's why I want you to levush. So some people say, I don't want to have a bumper sticker on my car saying Mashiach because I drive wild or I don't know where I go to. Have a bumper sticker and don't drive wild. I should tell myself to. And they say, by the way, that the Rebbe was actually a wild driver. As his husband. But and go all the way you're supposed to. And even if you don't have Yichi, by the way, you should know I live in Flatbush and I can tell you it's unbelievable. From 4 blocks away with my eyesight, I can detect if it's a Lubavitcher or if it's a Litvak. Someone that's on a board. I'm talking about sometimes you have Litvakers that have a board and they have a hat and a jacket, but you can tell. A Lubavitcher usually it's at least like this. It's not like that. But even if you don't have a Yechi Yamaka, you can out of the nose you can detect a Lubavitcher. Not only a Lubavitcher. Other people also detect the Lubavitcher right away. There's something there that's not a Sudar or something, I don't know. There's something that... So whether you wear Yechi or not, you still have that Achrayas for sure. As a Yid, you have the Achrayas. As a Lubavitcher, you have the Achrayas. Does the Lubavitcher ever remember? It's very powerful. I think it has to be publicized much more, that Sikha, because it's really strong. And then when you have a Yechi your mamash... So who are you going to blame? Chevra, it's our fault. We're taking the blame only because of the Ma'aseh B'Peil. We have to do something. We have to make something. Everything's the same. Even Yechi became routine. It's almost like saying, it's the whole inyan of Yechi is it shouldn't be routine. That's supposed to turn the Lekei Avram, Lekei Yitzchak, Lekei Yaakov, and the brachas to that shouldn't be routine. That's what it's supposed to do. And even now Yechi became routine. Whatever, it became like a party. It became, I don't know, maybe in the Knesset one day there'll be a Mashiach's party. The aim of the whole thing that we should have a chesima gemachsi b'teva. And by the way, I never understood this lashon. Anyone understands the lashon of the Rebbe? Why the Rebbe says chesima gemachsi b'teva? Anyone else? But that's what the Rebbe says. Chesima gemachsi b'teva, and we don't compromise on anything less than gula amitzis v'ashlema. Take it from miyad mamash u'shemizecha. And actually, in the beginning, there was a word that I want to say and I forgot about it. But the Rambam of in a couple of days. How do I know a couple of days Rambam ahead? Because I was listening to Farbrengen. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. I was listening to Farbrengen of Vav Tishrei Tavshim Mem Hey. Actually, Vav Tishrei Tavshim Pei Daled, but the Rebbe Farbrengen said it the first time in Mem Hey. So in this Farbrengen, the Rebbe was talking about Hilchos Yisurim Mizbeach. And just that you know that the Rambam of these days is always smichas to the first year of cycle of the Rambam. First year cycle of Rambam started Chozayin Nisan, and this year cycle started base year. So Mamela, if you want to learn sichas of the connection to Rambam, you look in Tavshim Mem Hey, Mem Daled Mem Hey, and the sichas are always very close. So the Rebbe in Vav Tishrei was talking about Hilchas Yisurim Mizbeach, which is in a day or two, I don't know, 3. Huh? Yisurim Mizbeach didn't start yesterday. You're learning a day ahead, right? Today's Hilchas Bias HaMikdash.
Is the Chaitake Rambam given Bias HaMikdash?
Also, it talks about today's Rambam begins with the thing of Ein Kohen Gadol Nichnas LeKodesh. Only Kohen Gadol, because one of the Rebbe's favorite things is that all of us are going to go into Kodesh HaKadosh from Rabbi Yisrael Mashiach.
Yeah, not so much for the Rambam.
And everything.
Mizbeach is Monday starting.
What?
Monday starting from Mizbeach.
Monday. Monday, Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Rebbe spoke in the Sikha about the Yudalit things HaPoislim. And the Rebbe asked the question, why is it Yudalit? That the Rambam himself brings a few more things, and some of us would say that a few more things are included. But the bottom line is that the Rebbe says that the Rambam likes very much the number Yudalit. The Rebbe didn't mention that also the Klolim, the Shoroshim, are Yudalit.
Yeah, the Chazak.
Yeah, the Chazak of Shteitzer, that's obvious. But in a few other places, the Rambam, if he has a choice, he picks over here. He kind of picks Yudalit, and he lets the other few things fit in, be included in the other ones, because he likes the number Yudalit. I never spoke about it. That was the good. So that I reminded myself of that because I remember we were singing in the beginning Shuva at Motzei. So there's no video of it because it was on Shabbos. And I once asked a group of Talmidim, why is there no video of Matan Torah? I wanted to get to a certain point. But one Chacham answered right away, and I liked it very much. He said, it's because we're on Shabbos. The point that I wanted to make is also connected to the video that I'm talking about now, same Nekuda, that the reason why there was no video, the Betzim was a video. The video of Moshe Rabbeinu was Yeshua ben Nun. That's how the Eibishter wanted. There should be der v'dershov. There should be always, the next generation is reflecting the whole previous generation. The Eibishter didn't make video of Matan Torah, says to Moshe Rabbeinu, because the Eibishter didn't yet know the technology of video. Called Kippish. And befrat that it says befeirish in Zohar when it's going to come to the world, technology b'chlal. And it actually happened. Just in case anyone needs proof that the Zohar Roha Emes. So it actually happened. And we see b'muchash that it's also Al Piseda V'Adroga and Derech HaTeva, if every 300 years there would have been a massive advance in technology, that would make sense. No, the Zelda Fair, there's other Merishim that genutzt again in Yerushalayim that genutzt Delta Zeta. So there was no major changes in technology in 5,000 years. Mitamal, in 150 years, 200 years, we get with a train and we're fleeting around the Chvesish, what the sun already. You didn't get to the sun yet? Not yet. I got it.
Solar Pro.
It's for bread geworden.
Nista bread geworden. They figured it out.
Okay. You know the professor that said that it's going to, in 80 billion years, the sun is going to fade.
No, long time past that.
No, 1 second. The sun is going to fade. So one of the students had a shock. He said, what? So he said to him, 8 billion. He said, 8 billion. Okay. I can make actually. He thought it's going to be 80 billion. No, forget. He thought that the guy said 8 billion. So the professor told him, no, not 8 billion, 80 billion. So the Eibishter created technology, chlal, and video, why? Because the Baal Shem Tov's videos, the Maggid's videos, the Alter Rebbe's videos, the Tzedek videos, the Rebbe Marash, the Marash videos, the Rebbe Shvasein, the Rebbe Shvasein's video is the Friedrich Rebbe, and the Friedrich Rebbe's video and audio is the Rebbe, so some time. And the Rebbe was Zanossi Hader, was the Ken Zen and Aaron. Some people think that video of the Rebbe is an ancient Rebbe, Shaitim. The whole Eifin that you can see and hear the Rebbe and take a rosh from the Rebbe and tell what the Rebbe will is durch Herren dem Rebbe and Zen dem Rebbe, an audio and video. And by Bashar that we scream to the Eibush at Motzei, we want to hear Terech Hadash and Miti Teitze in the old-fashioned way. But when the video and the audio was created by Dafke, anyone that thinks otherwise is Mamash Shaitan. It's like thinking that the Eibush didn't know how to do it before, and now he found out how to make. We don't believe that the Eibush to make video and audio. So when the Rebbe's are bringing, I mean, again, I can't force for sure not. But even to influence my hergish and everyone, I don't know if it's appropriate. Why not? I have the mic now. My hergish, no one forcing anyone. My hergish is that when there's a video shown in 770, I can't. I mean, I'm after all, I'm an ish mugbal, but when there's a video shown publicly in 770, for me, it's the Rebbe talking live. Versteht sich, what's going to happen if the Gabbai is going to be Menachem Galitzkin, is going to put on a video the whole day? Are we going to have to watch a Farbrengen the whole day? Why not? But Yom Shikol Shabbos, Farbrengen's the whole day. But the Cholefen.
What about upstairs and
Okay, no. I'm just telling you, I also begashmius. When I'm at home, or when I'm busy doing other yonim, I don't have, the ability to watch. I think at least I don't have the ability to stand and watch. It just doesn't happen that I'm going to watch a video of the Rebbe for more than 5-10 minutes. You know what I mean? That's a mitzvah. But I'm just telling you my experience with Poel Mamash. And since Gimel Talmud Stovshin Dollar, whatever they started it, a few weeks later, I'm not sure. Shalom Farton was involved. Every time they show a video, I mean, most of the times that they show a video, it used to be 5-6 times a year. Now they show more Farbrengens, whatever's available in the video. So I come to these, every Thursday night. Okay, there wasn't such a Seder anymore. It's better. It's better. But I'm talking about the Seder from Amal. I wrote a text to a few friends, and later Rosh Hashanah, a few friends of mine. I wrote to them, what were you always busy doing at Rosh Hashanah? Later Rosh Hashanah. Why later Rosh Hashanah we always came to the Rebbe Farbrengen and we spent how many hours the Rebbe Farbrengen? It's 2 or 3 or 4. And now so why now can we go to sleep or be busy with a lot of other good things? Whatever, I think it's a murder and it has all milas. You can't go wrong with it. Can't go wrong. And even people that are Devri Lashon HaKodesh, they call it Ivrit. The very Ivrit they have
subtitle.
Over here everyone speaks English, but I'm just saying a Yiddish also. But whatever, it's just a hergish of mine which I think is appropriate, and I think it's made for it. I think that's how the Rebbe talks to us. Okay, everyone can do it in his own way. It doesn't have to be dafka. But in 770, what more do you have? You have Mokim Kodesh, Zman Kodesh. We're talking about Yom the Padre. We're talking about not. I decided it should be every day or every. Talking about days that the Rebbe always bring. If it was Yitzchak Kislev, you'll be Stammers. So not everyone has to be in my darga, that I don't talk to anyone and I try to be quiet. If I was actually, I'm also not so good because I also come 5-10 minutes late always. That's my minute, always to come late. But never something, no one ever came late, obviously, But that means that I have a chalishus. It's not. I'm not relating. Okay, I'm misvada. It's Erev Yom Kippur. You got to be misvada. Chatoim shebinodem lamokim. You're supposed to do it. I mean, benodem lamokim, yeah, but right. Benodem lechaveri, you don't do it.
I'm not going to welcome also to Chil Hashem.
Yeah. No, sorry. Benodem lechaveri, but I'm not benodem. I said too much to Chaim, but it's like use that terms. I didn't. Okay. Bottom line is, and I was going to say something else, but I forgot. It's okay. Chaim. I'm sure guys watch the convention. I know, but I have other young ones like
47.